Hey guys, it's Mrs. Kilburn from the School Counseling Office, and I am here today with Katie from Grand Canyon University. She's going to talk to us a little bit about some opportunities in Phoenix, Arizona, where Grand Canyon is located. You guys may not have heard of Grand Canyon because it's not here in Knoxville, but it is a Christian university that has some really great opportunities and programs available. So one of those programs that we already make use of is their online dual enrollment program. We have some students taking classes right now, and the reason that it is such a great opportunity for our students is because the pricing is about $300 per semester per class, which is really cost competitive. So Katie, what have you heard about the dual enrollment program? What can you tell us about the classes and how students might learn more about that?
Yeah, so the dual enrollment works really well with high school students because it's all online. So where, some classes they may have to do at a campus locally or community college, they can actually do all of it online, and it's 8 weeks, so it's all the accelerated. So what you may get in a semester doing 4 classes, you may be able to do just one at a time doing the 8-week model, so you get the same amount of classes, but you're not overloading yourself with too many classes, and you're just doing one at a time. So it makes it really easy to get those credits without feeling overwhelmed, and allowing yourself to still focus on high school because you need to graduate still, but also still get that college credit that you can transfer.
That is really great. And so to sign up, you just go to the website. You can get all the information about the classes on their website, and it's really great for elective credits. So our policy is if you're taking a core class that's required for graduation, like your English, math, history, science courses that are required, you have to take those on campus, but they have lots of really great elective options. So I would definitely encourage you to look through that if you're looking for an online dual enrollment option. And we have more information about that in the School Counseling Office. But Katie, tell us a little bit about undergraduate, the application and enrollment process. When I called to get some information about this a few weeks ago, someone mentioned that there's no application fee, so you just go online and apply. Can you tell us a little bit about what's required in the application process?
Absolutely. So our application is completely free and online. It's just at apply.gcu.edu, and we have a rolling admission process. So what that means is that we don't have a complete application deadline. So whether you apply today, which will make your life easier, or apply August 1st, which will still get you in, but it'll be a little rushed. We don't have a deadline to where you have to have it done by like May 1st or things like that. Again, it is free and it's completely online, and then all we need after that is a transcript and or ACT or SAT score to verify your admissibility. And admissibility works a little bit different at GCU than it does at some other colleges where let's say, for instance, you may have to have a 3.0 and a 19 on your ACT for some college admissions. We're an either-or scale. So what that means is you come to me and you bring your transcripts after you've asked your lovely counselor for them. And if you have a 3.0 and a 17, you're still admissible. The only time that changes a little bit is if you have below a 2.5 GPA, we do require that you have at least a 19 on your ACT.
Okay. And do you know, with the application, are there any essays involved or things like that?
Good question. There are no essays involved, which is great because I hate writing essays, so I love that. But yeah, there's no essays involved. There are some short answer responses, so just getting to know you a little bit more as a student, what you're interested in, what your future goals are, so we can help guide you through what maybe your best major is. I know I have a lot of students who don't know what they want to do when they come to college, which is fine, but kind of reading through some of that in your application helps me do my job in counseling students to maybe look at some different options that maybe they didn't think of before. So
that's great. So it sounds like a pretty simple process, and even for
Very
seniors, if you have already completed applications elsewhere and you're looking for another school just to look into as maybe just an additional option, you might really look at GCU. It has some really competitive and unique programs that I think you might be interested in hearing about. So Katie, what can you tell us about those programs, the different majors that are offered on campus? And
yeah, so we have over 200 majors and programs. So within that we have business fields, STEM field, and those are actually two of our biggest programs currently, and that's because it's where most of the jobs are going. Every job that you see now has something to do with STEM or business, and so those are some of our biggest and most growing programs. We were founded back in 1949 as a preaching, teaching, and nursing school, so those are kind of our cores, and I kind of lump in nursing with STEM because when I talk about STEM, I'm talking about any sciences, engineering, and technology. So anything that's doing with medical field, nursing, the pre-professional programs, pre-PA, pre-pharmacy, physical therapy, things like that. They're all very competitive programs, and they're very well-known and very rigorous programs. So. Not to scare you, but you are going to get to know what you need to know to be competitive when you go out into the workforce. All of our programs were designed with industry leaders. So we, for instance, when we built our engineering and technology and computer science program, we brought through a board of people who are some of the best of the best in the Phoenix area and in the country to help build our program. And we asked them what they're looking for when they go to hire people. And they told us a couple things. One was more collaboration with other fields, more time in labs, and a little less theory. Theory is great, but you need to know what you're doing when you get in the field. Because a lot of times they expect you to know things, and they expect you to be able to just jump in and not have to spend 6 months to a year training you on how to use machinery or different techniques, because you should already know that. That in their mind you should already know that. So we've built that into our curriculum. We've built collaboration with the business school. One of the things our engineering department or the engineering board told us was that some of the best engineers become managers. So you need to know how to manage people. You need to know how to have that business aspect hand in hand with the STEM and the engineering part of it too. So it's not just the innovative thinking, but also the people skills thinking that we're trying to help our students get. In every single major and program that we have, our motto and our mission is to raise up servant leaders. So not only people who know how to go out and lead people, but also know how to serve people, because the best leaders know also how to serve the people who they're leading. And so that's built into everything that we do, every major, every program. Our nursing students are phenomenal, and they, are in the hospitals in Phoenix, and the Phoenix area loves our nursing students, and they're always walking around in their purple scrubs, and it's great. And then for like our pre-professional programs, 100% of our students from the pre-med program got into their top 2 choices of med school last year, which is awesome. We are one of the largest cadaver labs in the country, and then we're also one of the very few that allow undergraduate students to actually work on cadavers and actually cut into human cadavers at the undergraduate level. So what that means for a student is when you're going to apply for med school, those are things that you put on your application. And most schools, you may have like a semester or so in it, maybe your senior year, but a lot of times students aren't getting into that until grad school. So having 3-4 years under your belt of working in a cadaver lab is awesome when med schools are looking at you, because that's something you already know. And they're not going to have to, again, reteach you that skill and that trait. So
definitely, and it can make students a lot more confident in their career choice. And that experience, studies have shown that for you students who are maybe starting to look into a career in the healthcare field, studies have shown that students who have that experience beforehand feel more confident and are more likely to last and be successful in their field as well. So that's really helpful and important. So
it is. We also have students are able to actually visit the cadaver lab tour. So if they come down to visit the campus, they can sign up to actually go to the cadaver lab, which I always suggest, because if you think that you may want to cut into people for a living, you might want to walk into a cadaver lab first, because a lot of people decide whether, this is what I want to do, or nope, not for me, very quickly when they walk into that lab. So I always encourage anyone who's looking into those fields, if you can visit a cadaver lab, do it, because it's gonna tell you real quick if you're able to do it or not. So
if they come out for a campus tour, they could actually go visit and walk in and look around. That's amazing.
Yes, we have a whole tour dedicated for the cadaver lab tour, and so what that looks like is you go in with some of our pre-professional students, and they go over things. They like peel back layers and show you organs and all these things, and it's fascinating. It's amazing. But I always scan the room and I'm like, they're gonna pass out. That person looks queasy. So I'm like, anybody here med programs? Maybe think about it. So
yeah, I would pass on that part of the tour personally,
Yeah.
but that's great.
it's very cool. If you have any desire to ever see it, it's very cool.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's a great opportunity for those of you who might be interested in going out to visit campus. So, speaking of visiting campus, I know that Grand Canyon makes it pretty easy and accessible to visit campus. Even though they're far away, it's going to be for sure a plane ride to get out there, but there are ways to get there. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So one of my favorite parts of my job is I actually get to travel with students out to visit the campus and on a program called Discover GCU. And Discover GCU is available to every and all admissible students. So before, when we talked about the application and admissibility, as long as you have that 3.0 GPA or that 19 on your ACT, you're considered an admissible student, and you are able to come visit the campus for free. And that is for free. We will fly you out there. You stay on campus. You eat on campus. We give you a meal card. You attend a student event. So it's kind of like a 36-hour try on GCU, see if it's a good fit. Which is great. I mean, so often you think that, colleges on the other side of the country or a couple-hour plane ride away isn't feasible. And we're very affordable, and we make it really easy to see it, and it's free. So I always encourage students, any opportunity that you can to visit a school, do it. And if they're going to pay for it, do it.
Sure. That's a really great opportunity. Can you tell us a little bit about what that visit might look like? What would they do and then come out to see the campus?
Yeah, so we fly you out there. It's a 2-day trip. We fly you in early one morning and fly you back later in the evening the next day. And you do a full campus tour, so you would go around, obviously, the entire campus. And then we have break-off sessions. In that, we also have the Cadaver Lab tour, but we do break-off sessions, so anyone who's doing like engineering would go with an engineering specialist, pre-professional programs, education, business, humanities, so like justice studies, counseling, things like that. They kind of all split off, and they go into different like lecture halls or classrooms with some of the specialists, and they really get like an in-depth look at those programs. So I know that the engineering students, they'll take them over and tour the labs. Cybersecurity, they'll take them over and let them see our cyber warfare range, which we have the second one in Arizona. Usually there's only one per state, and they allowed us to have one on our campus. So our students actually work with companies to do reverse hacking to keep people from hacking them, which is really cool. And students who come out to visit get to see all that. We also own a hotel, so if anyone who's looking to do any type of hospitality management, things like that, they can take the shuttle over to see the hotel and the restaurant that we own and kind of see what that looks like and what that would look like to major in that type of thing. And everything that we do, we allow our students to be very hands-on. That's why we have a hotel and we have a restaurant for people who are wanting to do the hospitality management industry. They get experience in working in a hotel and managing a restaurant and things like that. So you'll do all that, and then you do a student event. So whether that's a basketball game or a soccer game or another student event that's going on, there's always something going on campus. So they'll get to attend a student event, which is really cool because not only is it important to feel if a campus feels good to you, but also the people that you're going to be around. I always tell students, you can do a major anywhere. You can study business at thousands of different colleges. There are thousands of colleges in the country, and you can study business at just about any of them. But what you're investing in when you go to college is the atmosphere, the people, and the experiences that you're going to have in that 4 years. And so getting a feel for not only, oh, this is a really pretty campus and Phoenix is really warm and it's snowing back home and I'm sitting by a pool and it's fabulous and there's palm trees all around me, but you're also seeing the upperclassmen. You're seeing other students who are coming in from around the country for the same visit who are other potential students. I have a lot of students who come down and they meet someone who they're now rooming with on these Discover trips. And they're like, oh, I met someone from California and we're going to be roommates. And I'm like, great, let's do it. So it's a really cool experience, and it's a very unique experience. A lot of times if you do a campus tour, you just do a tour. You don't get to really experience life on the campus for much more than maybe an hour.
Yeah.
And here we're giving you a 36-hour kind of all in, drink the purple juice, enjoy it for 36 hours, look at GCU. So.
Very cool. So you mentioned one of the things that they would get to do on that visit is an athletic event.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about athletics at GCU.
So we are a Division I NCAA school. We love our athletics at GCU. We are very, very spirited. Our student section is called the Havocs, and they were actually called the biggest party in college basketball by SB Nation magazine, which is awesome and amazing. I love scrolling through ESPN. Yes, I scroll through ESPN and see things about GCU and the Lopes, and it's amazing, and I love it. We have 21 different sports in men and women's sports at the D1 level, and then we also have about 32 club sports. And club sports are still very competitive, but there's a couple different tiers of those. But you still travel around, you play other schools, so other schools that have club sports. So our lacrosse team has won nationals the last couple years, which is awesome. Our lacrosse team is amazing. They're so great, and I love watching them play. I've never seen lacrosse in my life until I started like being around GCU, and I was like, oh, this is what lacrosse is. Like, I'd heard people talk about it. I had no idea what it was. And then we also have intramural sports. So we have kind of the 3 different levels between like kind of just want to play for fun or still want to travel and be competitive, but don't want it to be a full-time job on top of being a full-time student like a D1 athlete is. But we also have the time-consuming but also very competitive and rewarding D1 program that we have at GCU. So
that is great. We have had a lacrosse team here for a few years, so we
Yeah.
definitely
That's
would
awesome.
have some students interested in that. What about, so you mentioned palm trees.
Yes.
A lot of times I think when students hear Phoenix, they think desert. And so tell me what the campus is like. We haven't gotten a chance to go yet, but hope
Yeah.
to go out in the spring, and I've seen pictures online, so it's maybe not quite what students would think. Can you describe it for us?
Yeah, so Arizona is a desert, but Arizona is also the most interesting state I've ever visited. Just as a state, aside from GCU, the state of Arizona is fascinating. If you drive an hour north, 2 hours north, you'll pass through like all these different terrains, and you're like in the desert, and then there's like grass and evergreens all around you, and then you're back in the desert, and then you hit Flagstaff and there's snow, and it's like, what happened? You like drive through all the seasons in one state, which is great, and it gives students a lot of opportunity to get to experience a lot. We were actually rated the #1 outdoorsy college by Niche magazine. So that was amazing. Our students are definitely outdoors experiencing Arizona a lot. It gets hot, but not excruciating. And there's no humidity, which makes a big difference. I will take summer in Arizona over a summer in Tennessee any day of the week. But our campus is gorgeous. We have poured over $1 billion into the campus since 2009, building it up, renovating it, just making it really a home away from home for students. So we have a bunch of palm trees on campus. They line the main walkway. There's actually 49 palm trees on campus. It's a trivia question if you go to GCU and visit. So we have all these palm trees. We have grass fields everywhere. So, you know, GCU is kind of its own little community, own little, like, not really a city because it's not big enough to be a city, but its own little like area of patch of little paradise. So we have 30 different pools on campus that students can go to, and around the living areas, and we have 17 different living areas, and we've just opened up student apartments to freshmen this year. So we have 3 new apartment buildings that we're allowing freshmen to move into for the first time, which is really great, and kind of expanding the options for students to choose housing. They don't have to live on campus, but most of our students do because it's safe. We have our own police force on campus, so it's very safe. I've been with GCU for over 4 years, and I have not once had an alert that there was an incident on campus or anything awful like that. So thank you, Jesus. Hopefully nothing ever happens. But we have people there to handle it if it does, which is very comforting to know. It's very safe. You have to have a student ID to get on campus. It's all gated in. You can leave as much as you want, but you just can't get back on if you don't have a student ID. So we're very aware of who's on our campus because we want to make sure our students are safe. We want to make sure that females are able to walk around campus at night and be okay, and that's very important to us. And personally, I've walked around GCU's campus and I've never felt uneasy about anything. But if you do, we have little like security phones that you can call and get a little escort back to your room if you want. So safety is very, very important to us, as well as just making sure that it's a place that you can call home for the next 4 years. And I know that sounds intimidating. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go somewhere brand new for 4 years. You're only there for like 4 months at a time. So, you know, you come to campus and you are in school for 4 months, then you come home for Christmas break. Then you go back to school for 4 months, and then you're home for summer, and then cycle starts all over again. So it's broken up really well. So we don't have a lot of students who struggle with being homesick, which is great. And I think a big part of that is just the community that GCU is. And you know, I even have a girl from Columbia, Tennessee, who I saw a couple weekends ago when I was down visiting, and I asked her, I was with another prospective student, I was like, what is the best advice you can give someone from coming to Tennessee? And she's like, don't stay in your room. She's like, my roommate and I stayed in our room for the first 2 weeks, and we wanted to come home because we were so homesick. And she goes, you know, we started getting out, we started meeting people and getting involved. She's like, and now we're never gonna leave. Like, and so I think it's really important at any stage of life, but especially this stage, is to embrace the community that's around you and get involved and find your niche, find your thing, and, you know, try out new things and find different clubs and organizations and volunteer with different places and just get to know new people, because you're around all these new people in this whole new community. So
yeah, you mentioned servant leadership being sort of an emphasis and a focus across majors on campus, and I know that within the community you guys are very involved and engaged. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Yes,
so we have a 5-year contract with Habitat for Humanity, which is actually almost up, but we're renewing it for another 5 years, I believe, to redo houses in the immediate area of Phoenix. So GCU is surrounded by like little suburbs area, but they're kind of lower income. So we go out every weekend and you'll see people in their purple shirts and they'll be painting a house or replacing a roof, and just really have partnered with Habitat to really just make Phoenix better and to build the area back up and to make it more beautiful again. And that area was once like one of the richest areas, and then when the economy crashed, it hit that area really hard, that area of West Phoenix. And so we have a lot of families there that are first-generation families. And so we partner with them to get their houses good, and we've partnered with schools in the area to bring our students to the schools and bring students to campus to do tutoring. And we've brought in 3 schools in the area, from C and D rated schools up to high B, low A rated schools in the past 3 years, which is awesome, just by partnering our students with these kids who, you know, any other time they would have nothing to do after school. Most times both parents work, and so our students have really taken initiative to just love on these kids and to help them through school. And these kids now have an opportunity to go to college because they're getting good grades and they're getting scholarships. And, you know, if you do this program for so long, you get an additional scholarship to come to GCU. So kids who maybe thought that GCU or that any college was never an option now have a future because our students have really partnered with them. And that was actually a student initiative. You know, we talk about servant leadership and wanting our students to own their passions. A lot of the things that we do on campus and a lot of the outreaches and volunteer opportunities that we do were started by students who saw a need and wanted to fill it. And the tutoring opportunity is one of those. So it's been really cool to like watch our students really take hold of this, the servant leadership heart, and just run with it. So.
That is really great. Another thing that you spoke about was the growth on campus, all of the development, the money and renovations and everything. Tell me about the student population. What's the current enrollment at GCU, and how has that progressed over the years?
Yeah, so we have, our ground campus has about 19,000 students on it now. About 7,500 of those were freshmen last semester. So I guess this past semester. And so it's just been exponentially growing. You know, when I started with GCU 4 years ago, the total enrollment was what was it? I want to say it was like 14,000, 12 to 14,000. And I remember sitting in a conference where they're like, we're going to grow the campus to 20,000. I was like, yeah, right. And now we're looking at this coming year having over 20,000 students on campus, and they're still growing, and they haven't like cut off yet where we're gonna grow to. So it's just been amazing to watch God just really grow that and grow the vision of GCU to the whole thing is to make private Christian education affordable to all classes of society, and we've really watched that take off and really watched God bless that throughout these last few years. Since 2009, it's just been an upscale climb, which has been awesome to see and be a part of. We also have our online program, which we have some undergrad, but it's mostly adult learners. So you're going to find mostly in there people who are finishing degrees, going back to get their degree for the first time, master's level, those types. We don't have a lot of the traditional students in the online programs because they most want to come to campus and just have an actual college experience. But our online program, being such a small pool, if you will, of people, has, I want to say 70,000 people in it.
Wow.
70 to 80,000 people in it this year. So again, that's between master's and undergrad level, but still just adults wanting to change the trajectory of their future and to show their kids, you can do this. It doesn't matter what age you are. So it's been really cool to kind of see both of those kind of ebb and flow together, and both of them increase in enrollment. So.
So affordability,
Yeah.
you mentioned. Can you tell us about the total cost of attendance, the sticker price,
Yeah.
scholarships, and funding that might be available for students who are interested in coming there?
Yes, because college costs money. Spoiler alert, if you didn't know that, it does. So GCU, our tuition starts at $16,500, and we don't have any out-of-state tuition. So whether you're coming from across the street in Phoenix or Knoxville, Tennessee, it's the same amount of money to come to GCU, which is really great. A lot of times if you look at out-of-state colleges, you'll have a really high upcharge for being out-of-state. And that's not fun. That's just sad. So we really want to keep that the same for everybody. All in, room, board, books, fees, everything that you would pay for college altogether. On the higher end is going to be about $25,000 to $26,000 for the year. From there, we start deducting. So we have our baseline scholarship, starting with the very bottom GPA, is $3,000 and goes all the way up to $9,750 in academic scholarships alone. We have priority registration awards that we give out. So based on when you register for college and when you decide that GCU is where you want to go, you can get between $500 and $1,000 in that as well. And all these are year over year. So for 4 years, you're securing these scholarships. And then for Christian Academy of Knoxville, we have another scholarship, which is called our CCSC scholarship. And that is our Canyon Christian School Consortium scholarship. And that is an additional $4,000 for each year that students have attended this high school. So if they've been at CAK for 4 years, they secure $16,000 to attend GCU on top of their academic scholarships. And then there's different ones. If you're doing like engineering and IT, there's some scholarships. So there's a bunch of little ones, but those are kind of our biggest ones that we have. So.
Yeah. So for those of you who are concerned about the possibility of foregoing the Hope Scholarship, just know that that will be really offset by that consortium scholarship.
It is, which is nice. So
that is really great.
Yeah.
So tell me about, you talked about earlier the culture, and that was such an important factor about college, and students typically discover that when they start to visit campuses, because we talk a lot about finding your fit and what that looks like. What are some of the things that you love about GCU?
I love that you guys talk about finding your fit, because one of our mottos is find your purpose. And so you'll see that everywhere. If you ever pick up a pamphlet of GCU, it's find your purpose. And we're like super devoted to helping students come into GCU and find their purpose and what their calling is. And I totally forgot your question. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Just
I was like, find your purpose.
Some of the things that you love about GCU.
Yeah. I love the students. All of our students are amazing. I've never run into a student that didn't love being at GCU. which is really weird, but also really great. We bring students down to campus every weekend. We have around 200 students that come infiltrate the campus. And thinking back to myself in college, I'd be like, high school students again. Why are they here? And I was not a nice person. But our students are great. And they're like, hey, you're with Discover. Like, what do you want to know about GCU? Where are you from? Like, tell me about yourself. What are you looking to study? Oh, I'm doing the same thing. Oh, I'm doing worship arts too. And they're just amazing. And it's not even that we're like, hey, talk to these kids because they're considering GCU. We'll just like see them in line for things. And, I mentioned our student section and us being very spirited. We're not ugly in that, if that makes sense. Like, we don't berate the other team and talk trash to the other team. We're just very encouraging to our team. And that works just as well as being rude to the other team. I think that was one of the things that stuck out. We had a, competition at GCU's campus. It was like a free throw competition or something. I know very little about basketball, so I'm not even going to try to explain it. But ESPN was hosting it, and our student section was there, and it was with some of the GCU players and some players from another college, and they were having this free throw competition. And one of the other kids on the other team, it was his birthday. And our whole student section started singing happy birthday to him. And he actually won the free throw competition. And our whole student section just started singing happy birthday. So and the ESPN person was like, that kid's on the other team. And they're like celebrating him. And so I'm just always impressed with our students and just the heart that they have. And the fact that, I sit here and I talk about, oh yeah, GCU, we love servant leadership and find your purpose. And, we want you to find like your best self. And they're living it out and they're finding ways to serve each other and serve the community. And I'm always like taken back and just like, wow, at the students that come to GCU and just the community that they bring and the culture that they bring. And we have a growing diverse population, which is beautiful to see and amazing to see. And we have a lot of students coming to GCU who are first generation or DACA students who maybe didn't have a chance to go to college before. And it's just really beautiful to kind of see all this come together. So sportsmanship, it sounds like it's definitely a strength. What are some of the other ways that GCU sets itself apart as a Christian school? How does that change? So being a Christian school, we don't have a bunch of Bible classes that you have to take. So we have one, which is Christian Worldview. It's a very interesting class. And it goes over different religions and kind of what sets Christianity apart from, atheism, Hinduism, Buddhism. I think I'm saying all those right. And kind of why we believe what we believe, but why they believe what they believe, and why we believe the truth, and kind of how they all kind of go together, and how we can live in a world where people have different beliefs and still love them and be kind and, hear people out and have an open mind without foregoing your beliefs. So it's a very interesting class. I love it. I wish that I had to take it in college. I don't have to take it for my master's, so that's sad. I'm not asking for more classes, but other than that, we have chapel once a week, and for the majority of our students, chapel isn't required. And again, we have 17,000 students on campus. We have a 7,000 seat arena that chapel is held in, and there are people sitting on the floor to be there. So it's really cool to see students come to chapel because they want to be there, not because anyone's forcing them, not because they're getting credits or, got to get your certain number of chapels in so you don't get a fee or a fine, but just because they want to be there. It's student-led chapel, it's student worship, and then we bring in pastors from around Phoenix to talk to our students, which is awesome because, if you're going to be somewhere for a little while, you may want to find a local church. And it's really exhausting to church hunt. So I think it's really cool that we bring pastors to our students to kind of basically get to hear different preaching styles and the hearts of different people without having to go to like a different church every single Sunday. So it's just really cool. It's really cool to see that. It's great that I feel like it's great that nothing is forced on our students, but everything's available. So we have life groups available. We have student-led chapel, like full-on student-led chapel on Tuesday nights. We have a prayer chapel that you can go into and write verses on the walls and write prayers on the walls and just sit in there and play music and just like have a moment with God. And it's beautiful to see that because our students are doing these things and no one's making them. You're not required to join a life group. You're not required to join a Bible study. You're not required to do any of these things, and students are doing it. Not all of our students do, but that's okay. And it's just cool to see that complete intersection of learning how to live with people who maybe don't have the same exact belief as you, but that's okay. You can still love them and you can still do life with them without agreeing 100% on every single issue and topic of debate that are brought about. So
yeah, it's an important life skill for sure.
Yes, yes.
So, Katie, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you just really would love to share about GCU or that you think students would need to know?
No, you've hit a lot of really great topics. I would just encourage students to come visit. Even if you're a senior, even if you decided what college you want to go to and you're going to the one college you've always wanted to go to since you were, in diapers, awesome. Look at other schools because one of two things is gonna happen. One, you're gonna solidify the choice that you made. Or two, you're gonna realize maybe there's some other things that I want in a college that I didn't really think about. And maybe it's not GCU, but maybe that opens your mind to other things. And the fact of having a free trip kind of opens those doors to be like, oh, well, maybe I would like this type of university. What other schools are like that? Maybe GCU isn't the right fit, but what other schools like that could I go to? And just kind of seeing your options. There's so many options out there. So don't pigeonhole yourself into one little area.
That is great. And we are looking at possibly taking a trip out at the end of February. So more information about that will be forthcoming soon. So that might be a good time if you're considering GCU or interested in learning more about looking into that. So we will keep the information coming about that. And Katie, I so appreciate you coming out to visit with us today. So helpful. And Katie's a great resource. So if you have questions, we can always get in touch with her and she's glad to help.
Yes, thank you.
So great. Thanks so much.
Thanks.